Yeah, the stage is yours.
All right. So you will see a lot of things happening on my machine prior, and I'll start with the basics. So Perplexity, with the last session when they discussed, they said you can use it in three ways. Either you can use for basic search, or you can use for research, or in fact, you may be using it for deep research where you can choose whether you are going academic or organization files or your own files. So this was the basic fundamental. This is what I am experimenting with. I mean, I wrote an article on LinkedIn. So this was about future proofing your career or estimating the assessment. This is what my best use case so far is. I created an assignment for my cohort, whom I am teaching generative AI, and then I needed to assess, and there were a lot of them. I mean, 50 assignments per session. So I went to Claude first. I asked it to create a rubric for my assignment that what should be the points which I'll assess on. So it gave me a 5 point rubric with 10 marks each, and also a score range on how to mark. In addition, I gave it all the sources which I had with me, all the assignments which the people submitted, and it picked up some more sources from the web. And eventually, the kind of responses it did was that it would pick up every assignment one by one, give you a score for this. What were the strengths? What were the weaknesses? For each of the rubric that we gave, and gave an overall score with a summary assessment. So then it asks you whether you want to continue the assessment, and then I gave it a loop complete. So go on, evaluate each one quickly and create a summary table with name, project title, scores, strengths, and weaknesses. And this was what I got, a very beautiful presentation summary that we needed to create. So I was just writing another thing with, I asked it to create a research paper around 8,000 words with some findings. I was working with Julius prior on a data set. This gave me a good summary of uh, what were the startups, how is healthcare faring within that, in different industries or in different countries, top 10 countries by the number of startups, distribution of funding across startups. I did not have a mathematical formulation for this prior to giving it to Perplexity, but I gave this complete report to Perplexity, asked it to create a paper with the data summary. I asked it to add the IEEE style referencing with square brackets for citations, which it failed gracefully, I believe, because it has its own style of referencing. But it did a good work. I mean, it created executive summary with keywords. This part it wrote by itself, the scope of work, the literature review, followed by what is the methodology. It created a good equation for me as well by default. And then the results followed by key findings, conclusions, references, and so forth. So this is another use case that I picked. Took it less time. But if I have to create yet another, I'll show you.
Hi, Sachin. So while you're writing,
Hi.
on space for, so it's more similar to like, right, like custom GPT like we have on Chat GPT, isn't it? Like
Yeah, it
space.
is. It is. There would be some difference though, that when I am creating a space, so the title goes to write a LinkedIn post. I am just simply giving custom instruction. Now, this can be applied to any topic of your choice. I mean, this would be one off that you would not have to repeat your prompt anytime. You can continue writing within this space. So, I just
And
ask it.
typically,
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
giving
seeing
it
that
any other.
typically, sorry.
Yes, please.
No, I'm saying that Sachin, like typically we also mention like, like more detail when we, let's say in chat
Yeah.
GPT, like this is the tone I want. This is like, I want to have a text. This is like, who
See,
is my
for
target audience.
what you are going to do with the Perplexity Pro, not just Pro, Enterprise, it is giving you a facility to add in a lot of context. I mean, for this post, you can add in files from your Google Drive, you can connect OneDrive. So basically, what you have is that on the uh, settings tab, you have my connectors. These connectors are the ones which you can enable, whichever you want to fact check financial data in search results. This can be enabled. I do not know how to use it yet. But for the remaining part, if you are using an Enterprise Pro system, then you are having access to OneDrive, SharePoint, Dropbox, Box, or even LinkedIn. So this I am yet to try, but I do not know whether it is going to only take data from my LinkedIn or it can post to my LinkedIn as well. API is Shashwat going to handle because he is working with Sonar. All right, let us go back to my LinkedIn post. Yeah.
There's some
So
hands raised.
yeah, this is what it created as of now. Yet another
There's some
thing
people
is,
raising. Sorry, Sachin. There's some people raising hands. Maybe. I think
yes,
Mary.
please, go on.
Yeah,
I'll
just
take questions.
first to say hello, and thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Secondly, you just mentioned FactSet. I believe you have to have a FactSet account.
I do
Yeah.
not have that. Not
Yeah.
Yeah,
yet.
you are
I'll try.
correct, Marianne. That's correct. You need a FactSet account to access
Yeah,
that.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay. That'd have been pretty awesome if it came with it.
Yeah, that's
I
expensive.
don't even know what is it useful for, but I'll try finding that if in case they are allowing an academic subscription. I have that bonus point. Every time I pick up an academic subscription, most of the people either rate their or lower their prices or they give it to free. I'll check it out if there is one.
It's very
Yeah, Kushbu.
interesting for deep research in on enterprise companies. Competitors make some insights, know-how, analysis about your competitors, etc. Big
Yeah.
companies use this to see what's going on the market, etc. Yeah.
You could
And
think about,
some
yeah. So to
financials.
add to, sorry, Nathan, please continue.
Yeah.
No, I was going to add to what Nathan said that if you are a company that does, let's say, due diligence, right, or kind of the data, if anybody is in the banking sector here, right, they would know that they buy reports on organizations from companies like Thomson Reuters and Bloomberg, right? So if you're a company like that is producing those reports, then you use services like FactSet to check whether the information that you have got is how factual it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So
The
given
other,
that
the other,
AI hallucinate, that's a good tool to have.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
The other separate question I have is, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, when you use Perplexity, generally, not in the spaces, I believe it does not necessarily retain memory of your preferences or your tonality, but within spaces it does. Is that correct?
It's correct. Within spaces, it would actually get a persona. So your custom instructions within spaces, as we created here, it would be uh, completing my present query. I may now ask it to create another query, and it would still be able to see for this space. My settings are that it has a specific set of instructions which are custom. This you can change.
Yeah.
So for if you have different types of tasks, like for writing a research paper, I would create a space. Or if there are a lot of files on which I have to do some research, so part of it is working like a notebook LM, except for the part that it is not having custom buttons for creating your uh, timeline, or it is not having narrative mode. But remaining part of this is almost equivalent to using notebook LM. They say that we are having 5,000 files that you can upload, but I tried adding 10 and it is not taking more than 10 at a time. So that was some
Uh,
limitation that I came across.
So,
I will
that's
share some
size.
use case. Sorry, go.
No, so just Nathan, I wanted to kind of respond to what Marianne asked, right? And I think somebody else, I'm not sure if it was Kushbu who asked this earlier, is if you want a particular tone, right, or want to set the detailed way of analyzing it, there are two approaches. Either you could enter it into the box where you kind of define the purpose for the spaces. Other option which I use quite often is I have a small text file which defines my tone with some sample text, right, which shows exactly how I would write stuff. And I also put in instructions like, okay, if I'm asking you for a LinkedIn post, include emojis and stuff like that, right? But if I'm asking you for a report, right, include charts, include tables and things like that. Don't include that if you're doing a LinkedIn post. So I have a text file which has my tones, which my defines if then else kind of a structure, and I add it into the files that I include into my spaces.
Yeah.
That usually helps.
I'll add in something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is technical. I mean, people always use some technical terminology like zero shot or one shot or few shot learning. So what Chandramouli explained is almost the same. So once I am doing zero shot. Zero shot says that I am not giving it any custom instructions in addition to what my prompt is. When I say there is a one shot, that means I am giving it a set of instructions plus an example to learn from. And when I say few shot learning, that usually includes that I am giving it a prompt, I am giving it some examples on how to proceed. This is exactly what Chandramouli said. But in technical terminology, we call it a zero shot learning or one shot or few shot learning.
And the system instructions can be persistent, like in Chandramouli, how we described. If you
Yes.
want it to do a certain task, the system instructions give it the tonality examples, and it kind of uses that along with your user prompt to create what you ask it to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I always, I mean, I am writing school books. So some of my prompts would say that the tone of the content should be academic, suitable for students of grade 11.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm writing research papers, I would say that tone has to be purely academic and scholarly. And if I'm writing for LinkedIn, that's sometimes people want witty posts. So like Sashwat is the king of one-liners. I see when your posts are there. So you pack so much punch into a single line. I'm going to find out some way of how to replicate that using Perplexity, but I do not know whether it would be able because it's a long form system, kind of.
That took a while.
There's some hands also still
Yeah.
raised.
Okay.
Um,
Kushbu is, yeah,
Kushbu,
Kushbu, can you raise your query?
Yes, no, I was just thinking that, since it has so much of option, are we also using like Perplexity from the automation perspective that, how it can automate a lot of, let's say, one of the example could be the data entry, like you said, the LinkedIn post. And I'm just thinking it loud, like, can it just like, I can schedule every Monday, like at 6 p, like every week, or in the morning, that it just send across the email, or like something on the outreach perspective. I'm just thinking it loud that can we explore that from the automation
Yeah.
perspective.
So
I
Yeah,
think
it would
Sash can
need to be
answer this.
connected.
I'll
I
show that.
think,
So I use
yeah.
Sonar for a couple of automations. One, I have a social sentiment.
Sorry, Sash, I couldn't catch the word what you said.
So I'll show you how I use it for automation. I use Perplexity
Okay.
Sonar and Sonar Reasoning for social sentiment analysis and curation. So it actually works very well because it's one of the models that has real-time internet access. So it can actually analyze what you're giving it alongside information that it gathers from the internet. So I'll show you some of that.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
amazing. So I'll look forward to that. Thank you.
Khalid, you have a question or suggestion?
Yeah, I had a question about spaces. So, and overall, the file sharing, you were saying that you can import data from different data sources like SharePoint or Google Drive.
Yeah.
So the first question about spaces is there, as an admin, when you're setting up your org, can you make it so that the spaces, when somebody's creating spaces within your org, they can only share those spaces within your org,
Yes, absolutely.
not outside your org?
Absolutely. So they have given a pretty good fine control over who to share the spaces with. I mean, when you are adding your Google Drive files, then you can decide that who gets access to them, because you can now add with an Enterprise Pro, or you can choose which people are having access to the thing that you are
No, that
adding.
is for the end user, but I'm saying that, like, let's say I give access to people in my organization, and Google Drive, this is my problem with Google Drive versus Microsoft, right? In Microsoft, there is a setting that says you can only share it with people within the organization, whereas in Google, you can share it with anybody in the world. And if I enable this for people in my organization, and there is some corporate information in this space that has been loaded, then I don't want that to be shared outside.
So
So if you look at the settings for the organization, right? So Sachin, if you can go to the organization settings,
yeah, I am there on the sharing link.
settings,
It says
the
it's
admin settings, not the spaces settings, the main admin settings, right? And if you look at my organization on the left hand side, yeah, and if you scroll down a little bit, I think that's is where it allows you to decide where can you set it, right? No, one second. Let me maybe show it on my screen.
Permissions, you mean? Maybe.
Yes, permissions. If you look at the sharing permissions that is there,
on my organization.
no, in permissions below members, organization
Okay, yes,
permissions,
correct.
right?
Yeah.
This is where you can set for your complete account, right? So if you are given, let's say, Perplexity licenses of the 100 that you have received to 10 people in your organization, as a super admin, you can set the configuration and say that everybody you have given licenses will be able to share it only within the organization and not outside.
What is that for? With anyone else? Okay, so it's share thread publicly should be turned off then in my
Yeah,
case. Right?
share spaces, share pages, share threads, right? All of those things should be turned off if you don't want to, share it outside the organization.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So even if somebody in your organization creates a space, by default, the option that Sachin was showing you in the space, whether to control it outside of the organization or not, that option just disappears. You can no longer have that option.
Let me try opening it and then try again with the work I was doing. So this was the space that I created. The viewers are again
You
the
have to
same.
refresh it, Sachin. I think you would have to create a new one before it takes effect.
Okay.
Okay, and then while you're on this, the other question was this right now, the way it looks like is you can only share it when either you share it with yourself or everybody in your organization, but can you share it with specific people in your org? Like you want to share it only, let's say, with the IT department or HR department?
So
Or
whoever has the link knows there is a space, right? So if I just go into my spaces, I don't see every space that is created, right, by default. Okay, unless you set the space as share it with anyone in my org, right? Only then, right, anybody in the organization can see it.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's private by default.
so are you saying that if it's anyone in my org, they will see it in their spaces area, but if it's private and I share that link with anybody, they can still see it?
They should be able to see it. Yes.
Yes, they should be. Because the sharing by link is something which is the most insecure way of sharing. I mean, unless and until I want it to be public, I wouldn't share it by link anytime. But yes, if you share it by link, it would be opening it up to anybody who wants to access it, anybody who has that link.
If
So
the
if we don't want people to see your space, don't share it by link, or just invite people to use it. And in that way, only people invited can use your space.
correct.
Okay.
Also, there is another aspect of Perplexity which is discussed a lot, right? Which is, I think, is an amazing feature. Once you have created a kind of a report, okay, for example, let's say, or you have created a output of a deep research, you can then convert it into a page, okay, and you can share that page. Okay, so everything that's gone in the background, right? All the, let's say you have created something around HR, okay, and you have created into a page and you have, posted it out there. All the documents based on which that article or which that search was generated, all of that get hidden, and only the page remains open.
I was about to show it in the.
Oh,
in
I'm
the
sorry.
use
I am
case.
sorry.
Yeah, but very
Okay.
good very good introduction.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I just have one more question and I'll just keep quiet. When you're sharing files with the SharePoint or with the OneDrive or Google Drive, when you share the space, the people who are doing the search, will they be able to search based on only the files? Does it inherit the properties from the source system? So let's say
That inherent the properties. Yes, the last workshop we had with Perplexity, they specifically mentioned that the Google permission, that if somebody does not have a permission to a Google Drive file that you have shared, then they would not be able to access it in Perplexity either. So that permission overrides all the permissions of Perplexity space.
okay. So just
So
by
essentially, you could create a space, right, where you are able to access that Google Drive file, and then share the space with, let's say, me, okay, where I don't have access to your Google Drive. So therefore, are those files. So therefore, I can see the stuff that you have done in the space, but I cannot, look at the source files. So you can build that
Got it.
level of control if you want. That's an option.
okay. So
So anybody wants to pick up pages, or the pages are not by default visible. So in the library, you can click on a thread or a page.
Yeah.
When you click on a page, this is more about that you can choose what is the intention. Are you looking for writing for experts or for beginners or for anyone? And then you can build a page on your choice. That what is, I don't know whether I can select yet. No, not allowing.
you need to select at least one audience, like beginners or experts.
Nothing
Yeah.
happening.
What's your page about? Just below, what's your
Yeah.
page about? Yeah. No. Yeah.
Not
Just
creating.
select. Yeah. Just select the audience. Yeah. You need.
I selected.
And
Still,
what's happening for you?
there is an issue with it.
Yeah. Okay.
But pages have a very cool feature that you can select some text and then you can expand on it. So with spaces or with other tools, like with this space, if I select some text from this point, I would not be able to expand on it. I can simply add it to follow-up. So with the follow-up, I can ask, a question based on what I have just selected. So that part allows you to expand on this, but in Pages it would be inline, that wherever you are adding an expansion, it automatically allows you to add it within that. Okay.
So I'm sorry. So the
I
purpose of the
got it.
library,
Yep.
hi Sachin. The purpose of the library is to build your library. So anytime you do posts or prompts, it will reflect the library as one source.
Oh, no. The library is a collection of, it's almost like your chat history. So whatever you did talk to Perplexity, it is going to build up a library of all the queries that you have done previously. It allows you to
Okay.
search within that which chats did you have. So for my library would show only a few things here, but if I click on it, it is going to show me entire summary of whatever interaction I have had with Perplexity. So this
Yeah. So
It's
is
the
again
history.
possible to search within the library, that what some point of time you must have made some uh, conversation with Perplexity and you can search. So it is basically a way to help you search through whatever chat that you have done previously.
okay, thank you.
Sukhdeep had a question.
Yeah, I was just wanting to ask Chandramouli that he mentioned about the text file which he creates. So does he upload it into the spaces with all sorts of instructions, scenarios, and everything?
You can copy paste.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I do. I upload it along with all the other files.
So, but then your text file may have n number of scenarios which you would have put in. So,
Right.
is Perplexity smart enough to figure out that which one to pick?
So you have to
Yeah,
get that instruction file, right? Let me see if I can pull out one of those instruction files and share it on this call today. But what I do
I'll
is
show it. I'll show it right away.
perfect,
So
right?
I gave it a problem to Manos.
Right.
All right. This
Yeah.
is the instruction file that I gave. I mean, this is something that I created from Claude, that I wanted to research what are the scheme documents of Atal Incubation Center in India. This Claude gave. I just copied it and pasted. So whenever you are pasting content, it takes it as a text file. Same for Perplexity, that it would simply take it as a text file in addition to whatever instructions you are giving it.
And also, Sudeep, what I do is I put in instructions in there, like saying if the post is about LinkedIn, follow the section below. If the post is around research, follow the instructions below. So I've created like almost like an algorithm, right? That says if this, then do this, if this, then do that, right? So it understands when it reads the text file, it understands that these are instructions.
Right. So
Okay.
in that case, there can be a master text file which can be created for various scenarios, and it can be uploaded with this
That's correct.
intent. Okay.
Yeah, I do this not just in Perplexity. I do this in ChatGPT. I do this in Claude also. Okay, so all of these, Claude has projects, right? ChatGPT also has similar stuff like spaces, right? So I do this in all of them. I have wherever I'm creating this kind of a structure where I have multiple set of files from which I'm going to do repeated searches, I always upload a set of instruction file, instructions into it based on the purpose of why I'm creating it. That makes the output so much easier for me to manage and in a much better format when it comes out.
Great.
Chandramouli, it would be nice if you can share that example.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for something that doesn't have something sensitive.
Okay. In the
one of
meanwhile,
Yes.
you look. I'm just sharing one sample page that we can create. So it just needed a title. I asked it for model context protocol. It started writing that page. It gives me a lot of information in addition. So I want to know more about something JSON RPC 2.0. So I'll select it. I'll let it complete first. These are some very good ways to create a long form post. So you can choose a layout with your pages. You can hide the header image or you can have the header image shown here. You can even change it as per your requirement. You can add a section after any particular point. You may add a media. It would allow you to find media. You can change. It would give you a lot of options from different type of media that you can use. You may edit a section to be like media plus text or media only. This works like Word, but you can even choose a section to be more detailed than it was already. So this is something that I use for long form writing when I am writing an article or something. And it allows you to embed images choosing from your own, or you can use the images which is suggested. And then
So,
you can, yeah.
so sorry, I'm not raising my hand. Please forgive me. So this is
Yeah.
quite impressive. So it's not just a register of all of your, prompts. It's actually where you can create a paper, if you will, or a post.
Yes,
Is that correct? So that's the
yes,
difference between
absolutely.
threads and pages?
Yes, and if you go to the discovery part of Perplexity, you will see all the pages, public pages that people are creating. I don't know if you use this,
No.
but generally I use it because
I'm
I
stopping
can
sharing.
see all.
Nathan, hold
Oh,
on a second. I am stopping sharing. I am pulling in Nathan for the remaining.
okay,
I'm
thanks.
sure the session would go longer than planned. And Nathan said that yes, we plan things. We have a lot of planning. We are French. Now you see what happens in the spaces here.
But hey, I love how you guys are all tag teaming, by the way. It's awesome.
Okay, I'll share. Tell me if you see my screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will switch to English so everyone can see, can understand. So English, yeah, good. Yeah, what I was saying is about discover, and this, when you see discover here, it's all the pages people are creating. So yeah, let's click on this. I don't know. This is a page that this person created like 32 minutes ago to publish information. Okay, and this is how it works if you want to publish it, to put it public, and if you want just to share it with some people, just you share the link. This is the first thing I can say. And then spaces, how I use spaces, it depends on what you do. For example, what Chandramouli talked about, I'm doing also because here I have a LinkedIn post creator where I put instructions here on the format, some instruction how to do the LinkedIn post, etc. And here it's the persona I create for this space. And then what you need to do, what style, etc. And at the end, also I asked for a prompt to generate an image so that this image can be added to the LinkedIn post. everything I put it in the instructions, and then I told him to check the examples of how I write generally LinkedIn posts. And this thing I put it in the files here, so you can see this is just a PDF with many examples of LinkedIn posts I create before, and then just the space will go and grab the best example depending on the tone I ask for example, be positive or negative or critical, etc. And then it will take the right example to create the new LinkedIn post almost the same like the example. And in the instruction, you can ask for adding some humor or etc. And then you can also ask for the how much the LLM, the model, will how to say, how much the LLM will create a post close to your example. So if he will be more creative or not. Everything you can put it in the instruction here, and I will show you an example. I don't know, maybe can anyone give me just an example to try it, maybe?
For a LinkedIn post?
Yeah, just to see how it works.
A LinkedIn post about Perplexity fellowship group doing a deep dive on Perplexity use cases. I'm not using my brain. I'm just reading from whatever we are
Awesome.
And then I choose Claude, Sonnet, or GPT 4.0 because they write very well space posts. And then it depends on what you want, where you need to search for more information. And if you want to add also some documents to better let's say limitate the search, you can add it. And also you can add for search in some last week, last month, last year, or all time. To, for example, for news, it's better to choose the suitable time frame you want. And then I generate, and it will create my LinkedIn post. It will give me the this is the LinkedIn. Also, sorry, I asked him to write only in French. This is what in my instructions. So you can change the instruction and ask him to write it in only one language, in the language you want to. Even though I asked him here the prompt was in English, but at the end he made the post in French because I asked to write only in French. And then I have I asked to have the prompt for GenAI image generation. I asked it to be in English, so he write it in English. And then I copy this, I paste it in, sorry, I need to remove this. I paste here, and it will generate also the image. I just need to see which image generator you will use. Yeah, I will switch to Flux because GPT image 1 is still having some problems. I had some problems yesterday. So I go back to this, and then I paste. And normally, if it works well, it need normally to generate the what's he doing? Yeah, and normally he'll try to generate the image, and then normally the image will be in this part because they went back to how to generate an image. As you can see, he didn't generate the image here, and then he give you image here, and then you go to generate image and do the same thing as before. I don't know why they roll back to the old version, but maybe they are having many problems. So
Yes,
just
I
to do
tried it
this,
yesterday.
yeah, they
It's
have
not,
many
it's
problems,
not
but
working.
yeah, I don't know why it's not working again, because it works before. And then you have your image here. It's just an example. This is for space. One use case could be interesting is I have this. Yeah,
Nathan, I just wanted to ask one thing. When you showed Discover, and in Discover there were a lot of articles which were written by different people. So
yeah,
can we also write an article?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Use
How,
pages.
See,
how do
you
we
can
write?
see it here. I will show you this. This is the example. Here I created a digital twin of Ray Dalio. Okay, I just put huge. Just put an example, an instruction to say adopt the personality of Ray Dalio with its knowledge, his vision of the world, etc. And then you will be my mentor. You will share everything, you know, with me. You will learn, show me how to see finance, economy, etc. Use a familiar tone, be inspiring, etc., etc. And then each answer you need to be you need to show me some use cases, details, how to do, show me how, give me some instruction how to put it in the real world, etc. And transmit all your knowledge and philosophy to me as I'm your Monty. And then I put some files. These files are the books of Ray Dalio I found that I already read. This is, let's say, the knowledge base of the space. I can also put some links if you want. I will show you another example where I put some links. And then I create some threads just to test. And one of them, I switch to a page. This is the page created from one thread. You can see it's January 2025, and this is the page created about it, about the the project Stargate, the innovation, the project showed the beginning of this year. You can edit this if you want to add some things, add media, change texts, etc. And you can also continue by adding more parts to update the page. And when you do it, the page will be updated and everyone can see it. If you want to share it, this is the here. If you want to share it, you just where is it? Yeah, here, share, and copy the link, and you can see it. And also, normally you can see it in Discover. So generally, Discover will put you the page that are more related, more seen, etc., similar to any algorithm. But yeah, if you publish regularly and you have people seeing your pages, it will be related here.
But how are you making that public, Nathan?
I will show you, for example, let's take one space. Let's take Ray Dalio again. No, no. Let's take this one. This is another example. So it would show you this another example. It's an investment. How to say it? Can't say in English.
Consultant, investment consultant.
Yeah, exactly. Investment consultant. So I gave him some information about my wealth, etc. I put 55, as you can see, I put 50 files here. It's all the investment document or researches, etc., or consultancies, etc. So it will feed the knowledge of this space. I put some links to go to look for, like Perplexity AI Finance, like ETFs information, like all the news and also about investment. And then, for example, I will take this one, and from this you go to the three dots. This is I don't even know. This is an example to a report of ETFs, best ETFs in 2025. Some report, and then you go three dots, swap page, convert to page here. When you click here, it will convert it. It will write something and convert everything you put in the page, and then all the background will be hidden, as we said before. Sorry, and he's now trying to write the information. You can see, change some images, add more, etc. You will see it after that, when he will finish. And this is how you create a page from nothing, or from thread already exists. Or you have the other option that Sachin showed already. It's you start from a blank page and create part by part your page. And now it's already done, so I can edit what he wrote here. I can also move it. If I want to edit, I can ask more detailed or short. I can change the layout here. And what I can do, I can change the titles. I can add sections. After that, I can change the images, or create another one, generate here and create another image. And at the end, I can see the preview when I finish, and then I can publish. When you publish, now it's public. Everyone can see it. And everyone will see this. And if you go back and see the thread I start with, all the space I start with, all the documents, etc. You can see them in this page. This is the thing. So you can have your back office with every document, etc., and the front only the page. This is an example.
One thing about the page, right? If I may add, Nathan, is others can search basis the content of your page. So you could highlight a portion of the text that is there in a paragraph and then use that to kind of search more.
This is true, but I'm not sure it's available on the web page. I think it's available on the app.
Oh yeah, it's on the app, not on the web page.
Yeah, available on the Windows app, or I don't know if they have Mac app, but it's available on the app, but not on the web page. There's some other things that are not available on the web page, but since I'm using my second laptop here, I don't have the app installed in, so that's why I can share with you. And then you can unpublish your page if you want to know more showing. And then also you can delete it if you don't need it anymore.
And what is swap spaces?
This is, like, you can see it directly here normally. Yeah, this is the app. When you click here, they will tell you there's a new app. It's Perplexity. It's a web. It's an app that you install on your Mac or Windows, and then you can use Perplexity directly on the app. It's similar to what you can do with WhatsApp or any app that can have on your laptop. You can have the mobile iOS or Android app, and then the comment will come maybe later. We don't know when. But in this app, the desktop app, you have more options, like what Sachin just showed before, or what we were talking about.
Yep.
Do you have any question about this, or maybe I need to give the
This
mic
is
to
absolutely
Sash?
amazing, because now anybody who wants to create long form from nothing, they can use pages. If you have a lot of data to work with, you can use spaces, and search and research are for your queries as usual that you'd be doing. So that pages part was something that Perplexity has not covered in any of their workshops as of yet. So this is something that everybody can take home. They can start writing their posts. They can add in images or graphs, And this is very good for anybody who is like creating an article for Medium or creating an article for LinkedIn. I create my LinkedIn articles on Pager in Perplexity.
Yeah, and it is essentially targeted to be an alternative to Medium in the long term, right? That's where they are planning to focus pages on. Till they kind of format it a little better. I think that's what they're
Yeah.
looking at, which is why they don't talk about it too much.
Okay,
Because
I'm spoiling the spot, but I'm looking that Sashwat is back and we are having a session with Sash right away.
Okay.
Nathan, if you are cool with it, can we switch over to Sashwat now?
For sure, I finished.
All right, great.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I'll show you how I use the API. I use make.com for all of the automation and orchestration. I'm going to share my screen and show you one of my data pipelines that I use Perplexity for. And I use Sonar as well as Sonar Reasoning for Sonar and Sonar Reasoning, I think. So I use it in a couple of ways. If you guys can see my screen, you'll see a make scenario here. So make.com is a no-code automation platform where you can create all kinds of scenarios. Each of these is a module, so you can connect and pass data through from one system to another, do a lot of transformations. What I am doing is I have a social sort of monitoring tool, and I look at Twitter data, newsroom data, blogs from about 150 companies. And I monitor it for kind of announcements, executive sort of announcements, product announcements. I monitor it for a lot of things. So in this particular one, I have a constant stream of Twitter data that is coming. So this Airtable, this is a database which has Twitter data. And these are just like posts. And I have it, like it's constantly coming in. And I created an app with Replit to actually capture all that Twitter data. Once that stuff is in the database, I use Perplexity as a couple of things. So you can see data comes in here, goes through one Perplexity module, more transformation, second Perplexity module, OpenAI and Anthropic. So here what I'm doing is the first module is just Sonar, Sonar Pro. So this is actually being used as an evaluator of announcements. So it actually looks through all the tweets and tweet threads. So what I do is with my app, I capture the tweets, I collate the threads, and then I pass it on to Perplexity here. And I have system instructions for it to evaluate the tweets based on relevance. So it actually has full-on instructions. I give it the input format, what data it gets. I gave it a selection criteria. And I asked it to prioritize certain types of announcement. For example, it's a product announcement, or if it's a funding announcement. And then I asked it to exclude certain types of tweets. If it's speculative, if it's just somebody just retweeting and reply, I ask it to exclude all of that. And I wanted to pick the most important tweets out of a stream of tweets that is coming in and pass the post ID, just the post ID. What Perplexity, actually all these models do it well, is data structuring. If you ask it to output in a JSON, it outputs in a JSON. So you can just capture that JSON and process it downstream. So here I've given it example saying, okay, you have to respond with only a post ID in a JSON format. So it's looking through all the tweets, evaluating them based on my instructions, and responds with just a post ID. And I sometimes after I had to fine tune it and test it a lot to get to this final state of instructions. Sometimes in the beginning, it would include the word JSON in the output. Once it includes the word JSON, the structure breaks. I can't process it. So I actually had to give it in capital letters saying, do not include the word JSON in it. And after a while, it actually got better. So this is the system prompt from the first one. Now, this is just Sonar Pro. So it's doing Pro search with real-time capturing information from the internet, using my instructions, searching the internet, analyzing each tweet, and understanding if it's important based on the instructions I gave it or not, and then passing it through. Once it passes it through, I go through some data transformation, and then I use Sonar Reasoning. This is basically, I'm using it to write a summary of it based on what the tweet is and additional information about the companies I'm monitoring and its state in the macro. Now, reasoning does that very well because it'll give you the chain of thought, and then it has instructions the same way. Once you analyze it and summarize it, you have to give it to me in a JSON, and it actually responds in a JSON. So I have got a title, it'll write an article, and so on and so forth. Now, and I give it examples. Always with system instructions, giving it examples makes it easier for the LLM to actually get to the output you want. Now, then it goes further, and I'll show you why I use the OpenAI module and the Cloud module. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you a completed run. This wasn't it. Let me show you a completed run so we can look at the output of it. Geez, why don't I have a completed run? Let's see. That's an error. Oh, there we go. Let's use this one. So this is a completed run. And you see there's tweets here. There's a bunch of tweets here. And this is one particular tweet. It's passing the tweet. It's from Baidu. And then here, Perplexity goes through that tweet. And if you go to this is the output coming out of this bundle. And it responds just with the post ID in a JSON format. So I go further, capture the post ID, do some transformation. This is where that tweet is then passed to Perplexity Sonar. Now here, this is great because, oh, by the way, the other thing it does, as it is analyzing the tweet based on my instructions, it's searching the internet and it's giving me citations. So I can immediately capture related articles and dump it into a database and then add data, process those for enrichment further down in the pipeline. So I dump this all into a database as well as related articles to a particular tweet. And then here is where it actually goes through analyzing it to write. Now, this is Reasoning Pro, so you get all the chain of thought reasoning. It actually analyzes everything, what I want, how, what the tweet is, and how it has to write. And then here it's going through the entire chain of reasoning process. Now, when it responds with my JSON structure and the chain of reasoning, because that's how the API is. It will always respond with the chain of thought reasoning process. I don't want any of this. I just want this. So how do I capture this? I get OpenAI to just grab that part out of the Perplexity output and give me the JSON, right? And now Perplexity doesn't write well. Perplexity is good in research. It's great in finding related information. Then I get it to, I process it further down with Claude. But here, the beauty of it is you capture all the citations, right? And Sonar Reasoning is very good for analysis with real-time data from the internet. So if you're analyzing a particular topic in an automated pipeline, you can capture a lot of related information. And then you can process that down the line for any kind of sentiment analysis and whatnot. And it works pretty well, generally. It's all about fine-tuning your system prompts. And that's not just with Perplexity. I think that's with everything, right? And if you use it in automated fashions, it is quite important to analyze your system instructions, fine-tune it, tweak it, and then sort of arrive at something that works for you. Sometimes, and they have to be very verbose because you want it to produce the same kind of output every time. And for that to happen, you have to give it very specific instructions, fine-tune it. And after a few tries, it actually starts getting it. I have tried to do this with OpenAI over the API with its web search module. Didn't really work well. So I use Perplexity APIs, Sonar and Sonar Reasoning for a lot of the research and analysis part of my social monitoring systems. And then I will pass that, once I get the information from Perplexity, then I figure out how to kind of if I want to write with it, or if I wanted to write a post about it, I'll probably pass it on to OpenAI or Claude to do it. All right, I think we have a hand up. Nathan, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for showing this. It's really, really interesting. I have just a question. Can you show to people who didn't do this before how to start with API, how for Perplexity, to create already the API key, etc.?
Yes, I actually have. I've been talking about my project, which is sort of very close to finish, which is why I didn't want to share. But I have one of the first courses, which will be a part of Rift, is Perplexity, all the way from basics to configuring your API. So you will go through it's 4 or 5 different modules. But let me pull up the
Nathan. I'm sorry, Sash. Before you jump into that aspect, this is being recorded and will get shared. So don't show the exact API, please.
Yes, I won't. I'm trying to find where the link for it.
Maybe stop sharing, find it, and then start sharing again.
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah, I can grab a screenshot and I'll be able to use that API.
let me find it. So the other thing I do, once I set it up in the API, once the secrets are set up, I just operate in Make, because all the orchestration I'm doing for data pipeline monitoring, all lies in Make. So sometimes I forget where to go back and find the Perplexity API keys. Let me find Perplexity API setup. You should set up API settings. I think this might be. There it is. Okay. So let me just make sure I will
find a way to mask the key.
I am trying to do that. Let's see. Here's one.
Otherwise, I can share. I have an account without any API, so you can show with this if you want.
I'll show it to you here. Okay. So this is fine. Okay, back to sharing my screen. All right, so this is it. So if you go to perplexity.ai/account details, I think we were looking at this page with Sachin for the organization settings and all that. So if you click on API keys here, this will take you to this screen. It's just simple black screen. You click on, and this is a screenshot where I masked my key out. You click on create key, and it will create a key here. And you basically copy that key out and put it wherever you want to create your connection. And that single key is all you need to access it. And then the billing and all of that will happen based on how your account is set up. So if you go into API billing, that's where you'll set up your credit card, or if you have credits, and then you can also see your usage metrics based on models. So if you're using different models based on the same API key, you can see usage metrics based on how much input-output tokens you're using. And generally, I have found Perplexity Sonar to be the cheapest model for real-time search-based applications. And also the Sonar Pro reasoning. So Sonar Pro reasoning is really cheap for these purposes because, one, it is a chain of thought reasoning model and it has internet access. So you can actually build a lot of things with it at a very low cost compared to if you use O1 in OpenAI, enabling their web search functionality. That's almost 4 times or 5 times the cost. So that's why after I tested a lot with OpenAI for this, and then I just use Perplexity for exactly this reason. I think there's a handout.
Khushbu, before we jump onto your question, Sash, if you don't mind, can you stop sharing? I just want to share something about the API keys, and I'll share my screen for that.
Yeah.
Because folks who haven't done this ever, right, will need to understand this. Yeah. So if you see this, right, Sash had a list of options here. I see in this screen, you see only one API. That's because I have not set up the API org yet. So if you have never done this, you will see this. When you click on this, you will need to set up your API group. So you will have to run through this step once. And once you're done with this is when you will be able to generate your API keys.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Great point.
Yeah. Just wanted to kind of close the loop. Sorry, Khushbu, you had a question.
Yeah, no, I think you already answered my second question, but I'll go. So thank you so much for that. The one question that I have is this part of Perplexity Enterprise Pro? Because you said that it's chargeable like the Sonar. So I'm trying to understand, or it's a different product. Like, under Perplexity, we have Enterprise Pro, then we have this. Because how did you get the developer here? Like, I got the developer, like, how can I get that?
It's a separate billing completely than the chat sort of Perplexity application. The Enterprise Pro, what we have as a part of the program is the chat piece of it. You can set up API in the same organization, but you have to give it a credit card for the usage because API is built based on usage. So my API is actually set up under the same Enterprise Pro organization, but I have a credit card there, and I just buy credits, which is used in my automation pipelines.
So how did you get, like, I get that like procedure, like what Pandya has mentioned that, the API developer, if I have to start, because right now at the Perplexity, I don't have this API module. So if I have to start,
You
like,
don't see
the normal
API.
Perplexity, like,
Okay.
No, so if you are logged into your Pro, Khushbu, right? Okay, let me share my screen again, and I think that
I have a Pro account without API. If you want, I can show you.
Okay, sure.
But normally you will see the same thing. I don't know why you don't see it.
But Perplexity Enterprise Pro doesn't have developer. Like,
okay, understand. Khushbu, there is one rule for all of the tools here. They are giving only the part which we see for search, for chat, for image generation. Anything which is open public facing is possibly free of cost. But anything when it comes to API is the bread and butter of these companies because this is where they allow people to go commercial. That means if I have to use whatever they have developed for my own project, like research or deep research, and I want to use the product they have created, they will allow me to access it through API, but I have to pay for that, no matter how small the cost may be. That even if you add $5 to your Perplexity account for Sonar API, it would give you a very long run for testing.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. And just to understand what's the difference, a Pro account or an enterprise account, it's just a subscription and you pay per month. It depends if you use or don't use it, the same thing. But API, you use it only, you pay only what you use. It's paying on a number of token you are consuming. So at the end, if you don't use if you don't use the API for a month, you will pay nothing. You just pay on usage. This is the big difference between the two things. Yeah. That's why it can't be in the same subscription product, because if you have a subscription, you pay it every month, but API you pay only on usage.
Yes, so you can add credits, and then honestly, I don't know if this is, I'll just share it here. Sometimes I have actually noticed there is no usage recorded in Perplexity API, even if my data pipelines are running every time. They're 24/7 on, and tweets are coming in every half hour. So it's doing something, but I sometimes don't see any usage recorded. But like to give you an example, these pipelines have been running for at least since January. I've spent less than $20 on it. They run 24/7. So
now you're giving more reason than Sash.
But when I was testing it with O1, the cost was pretty, like my cost was about 16 cents in processing one tweet thread with O1. 16 cents is very high to process a single tweet thread with O1. And I had to go through a full-on cost analysis to choose the model because I wanted a continuously running data pipeline. So, and I wanted internet access from a model. I even considered, okay, can I get an open source, model to run locally and all that? I'm like, but Perplexity for this reason worked out pretty well. So it's just running, and it is. So you still have to buy some credits, but it's based on billing, how much you use, input output tokens, and per model.
The thing that that you can also that you have with our subscription, like the enterprise, I think the Enterprise Pro one, is you have credits in the API. You have credit, and also they gave us $50, I think,
Yeah,
more in
50
API,
credits.
and this
Yeah.
you can this you can use it only in the API part,
Yeah.
and it's more than enough to do basic things for a while. Sash can tell you about it.
$50, you can create the pipeline I have and look at thousands of tweets every day for months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I could see like Sash, like, like one of course, let's say I'm just trying to visualize the steps. One is like having a Perplexity Pro number one, then having that API developer. Then you also showcase the Perplexity, so like Sonar by Perplexity. Then like in the make.com, you have all the process, like, how like all this, like, the automation basically is taking place. So these are the things that, like I think one needs these tools to have those automation for data entry, let's say, for, maybe brainstorming kind of stuff.
yeah, so
on that, right? You don't need the chat license to use the API and vice versa.
correct.
Okay, so you could use the API license only. So what the pipeline that Sash has created, for example, right? He can buy only the API credits and not have the Perplexity Pro license.
Yeah.
Correct. My Pro license can expire
Separate,
after a year, which it will, because we have access for a year, I think. After that, the API still will keep working because it's this usage based. And
Okay.
and with the API, so Sonar Pro reasoning, these are the models that are available in the chat as well as in the API. All the models that you see in the API, actually, you have Sonar Pro, and R1, DeepSeek R1 1776. I think those are the models you can access via the API, and they're all billing usage based. You don't need the Pro license for it.
And they have different costs. I mean, for each model, there would be different cost of token.
Correct.
So Sonar is very good with volume, but if you use deep research models, they'll be very expensive for the same task.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, within the API, I could pass instructions saying, make this a deep research query. That increases the cost of the query.
And as you can see here, I didn't put my credit card to continue, but I can see already that in the API billing, when you click on, where is it? Yeah, here I have already $5 in credit, even though I didn't even pay nothing, because they give you €5 for every. I have a Pro account. I don't even have the Enterprise Pro account. So even with the normal Pro account, you have $5 for API. So you can see it here, the balance.
I think that.
And if you have to register, because like you said that, even if, let's say, you don't have Perplexity Pro, we don't, API is a bit separate. So if I want to, let's say, get access to API, where do I need to go? Or just go to perplexity.com and then
you go to the settings under your account, and there you go to the API tab, and then you'll be able to set up the API. And there is another link where you can actually try it out. It's called the Perplexity Playground. Here, let me.
I will stop sharing.
Yeah. So if I go back to.
But I think where do you see API Perplexity has really worked out compared to the the rest. I'm trying to also do comparative analysis, because of course we always tried a lot of tools out there in the market.
For me, Perplexity is great if you're building anything that needs real-time data from the internet. It's fantastic, and it does it very naturally without you having to tinker it with it a lot. So based on good system instructions, it does very well for analyzing things, researching things, bringing in real-time data from the web, creating a perspective. So it's very good at that. It is not
And
good
it
at
does not hallucinate.
it does not hallucinate there. The citations that it uses, like I showed you in my pipeline, it's giving me a list of sources that are just links. I can capture those links, dump it into a database, and further process it with another LLM down the line. So it doesn't hallucinate a lot with that. OpenAI doesn't do well with that. Claude doesn't do well. You have to set up like MCPs with Claude to do all that. But out of the box, Perplexity Sonar really works with well with real-time data. So if you're building any product that needs that kind of real-time research over the internet, it works very well. If you go to labs.perplexity.ai, you log in with your own account, you can, this is basically these API playground where you can try different models. So here you have access to R1-1776. Now, one thing to remember, the R1-1776 that is exposed in Perplexity does not have internet search. So it is a reasoning model, but it does not have internet search capabilities. So you can't really use it for real-time stuff. So what I did was I would test my system prompts in this playground first and tweak it, then take it to my make scenario and then push a bunch of real data into it. And then it starts giving me outputs, then I tweak it there. It took me a while. It took me a couple of weeks, daily testing, I think 3-4 weeks of tweet data, which is like 100, 200, 300, 400 tweets a day. But it got to a point where I got the instructions right. So you could do that here. You could choose between these. Sonar is the cheapest model. Sonar Pro is the next up, which is basically your pro web search, like in chat. Then there is Sonar Reasoning, which is chain of thought. And then Sonar Reasoning Pro, which is chain of thought plus pro search. That's the one I use in my pipeline.
So you
you can see the prices.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I just shared the prices here. The link for the prices, so you can see all the prices per million token.
Yeah. So I was saying that you could use reasoning or you could use R1 DeepSeek, right? Whichever of the two works better for you for the reasoning work.
Yeah. R1 actually is a better reasoner than Sonar Reasoning. It works very well for kind of deep research and reasoning functionality, but it doesn't know the internet. It doesn't have real-time access. So a lot of the stuff it knows is outdated, but depends on your use case. If you're using it for analysis of static data, which doesn't evolve a lot, R1's great for reasoning. And it's pretty good.
And you can even use Sonar for the web search, all the information, updated information, and then use the R1 for the reasoning. So because the price will be less than using the Sonar reasoning.
Yes, it is. R1 is cheaper than Sonar Reasoning, and it works great. It's actually incredibly smart. So yeah, that's sort of how I use Perplexity in the product. I use it in a couple of different other parts as well. So this is one pipeline. I have like a dozen pipelines like that, which are looking at, I think, about 200 companies right now. It's basically a massive data pipeline which funnels into a very curated stream of latest kind of news, if you will. And I use that to keep up with what's going on. Plus, some of it feeds into the Rift product, which you'll see soon.
Yeah, I would just kind of add here that see the flow Sash that you showed us, right, is a specific use case that's meant for you. Okay, but that doesn't mean that that's the only use case. Right? You decide. For example, let's say which is why it took me a bit of time to search for the instructions, because I have a certain set of clients because of my past work X who are into let's say a deeper level of KYC. Okay.
Yeah.
And they want to do research and they want to run research on an organization, on an individual, and they want to collect information from the internet. They can do exactly the same by setting up their initial query instead of using the Twitter tweets as a source, what you're doing, right? So almost all of the flow will largely remain similar except for the source information, right? So I just wanted to kind of put it out to everybody here, right, in the group, that what Sash has showed us is one way of using data pipeline. Right? What you feed into that pipeline is going to determine, what comes out of it. Yeah.
I'll give you another example. I have a similar pipeline which is more on demand. I use Sonar and Sonar Reasoning on a Slack pipeline. If I find a new company, like a startup company in Web3, which is doing some cool blockchain stuff, and I want to quickly get a summary of what they have been up to, I send it on a Slack message, and the Slack message through a make scenario goes to Perplexity. It has system instructions to research and give me 5 bullet points back. And those 5 bullet points are bounded in the past 4 weeks of relevant information. So you can do that for search like that as well. And that's like kind of on the go. So I have a pipeline, I just send it on Slack. It gives me back 5 bullet points. I exactly know what to do. So it's great, even if you're, like you said, Chandramouli, KYC on accounts. Like if you have clients that you want to do quick research on, walking into a meeting, you want to know, okay, who are the executives, who are the stakeholders. Very easily, I send it on a message on Slack message. It gives me highlights. I capture it, walk into a meeting, and
you are letting everybody know my secret of how I prepare for my meetings.
This is the world of information. And it's like on the go information you can get right away. And for me, like I have dozens and dozens of these pipelines that I use through Make. And I don't know how to code, but I know very well now how to no code. So I mean, anything I need to automate, I start creating data pipelines.
And
it's absolutely great. I mean,
biggest use case of Perplexity, right, all this while has been doing research. Whenever a client comes to me, right, and they set up a meeting with me, I always do a research on them on Perplexity before I land up in that meeting. And in the initial days, right, before people started realizing that yes, a lot of folks are using AI, they were blown. Like, how does this guy know the innards of an organization? How does he know market analytics and everything? Let me do one thing, right? For this specific,
I believe Chandra is keeping a brochure on each one of us, and we are going to be surprised soon that we had a spy amongst us, and he captured every piece of it.
Pretty good. I built another pipeline which actually went through all the Y Combinator companies, and it gives me a quarterly summary. And it's really fantastic to do it with. Like, imagine before something like Perplexity, you'll spend days trying to find that information and collate it. I call it like meta automation. You have to automate the process that actually builds the process. So,
while session started, right, what I did was, let me quickly share something with you guys. I had thought of, if this doesn't get covered, then I can cover it. So this kind of shows what we are just discussing. That's why I thought, we can quickly show this. What I've done here, right, is I've said a new founder who is planning to enter into the small loans business in India.
Yeah.
Okay, very specific. I've given it, right, what is the duration of the loans, right, market analysis, and 5 top competitors in this space. Okay, it has done a complete analysis, right, looked at the ecosystem, right, what is the gap and demand, right, and each of these come with citations, right, so you can go back and check what is happening, right. It's gone an in-depth, if you realize, right, it's done a CAGR analysis, right, what is the current market dynamics, right, then it's looking at the top 5 companies which are there specific to India.
Yeah.
Okay. And once it is done all of this, right, I asked it for the underserved gaps and opportunities. It's done that. Okay. It's looked at all of the options of strategic recommendations because it knows that I'm a consultant, right? So I did not ask for this, but because a lot of the stuff is already there in the spaces and all of that, right? It knows I'm a consultant. It started doing this. Okay. And then what I did was I said, give me a comparative analysis of the top 5 companies, right, mentioned in the previous response, highlighting their business size, profits, VC funding, right, and any other relevant information. So see what it does. Right? It's got FlexiCard, lending, and all of these here. Business size, okay, AUM, target, disbursed, all of that, profitability, okay, funding and valuations for each one of these, okay, key loan features, right, tech and partnerships, and underserved focus.
It's crazy. Pre-generative AI, in Microsoft, my clients were all capital market clients, and they would run predictive and descriptive analytics in pre-generative AI machine learning algorithms using Databricks. That was so many man hours, so much data.
Exactly.
So long to get to
I can relate. I can relate as a consultant.
Right? Yeah. And now it's like that. It's pretty incredible.
So another bit I want to show, Marian is still on the call, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so this is something that I created, will interest you, right? Created this more as a demo, but since you're into governance, right? What I've done here is there is a DPDP law in India. Okay, that's come, but that is around digital protection and data privacy. Okay.
Yeah.
I uploaded the government the whole, I think it's about 100-page or something document, right? Which is the government put out as the complete text of the law. Okay. I have put in some of my own instructions around it, and I have created this space. Okay. And I can give it instructions to say, give me a complete audit plan. Okay. So, okay, I've said that you understand this in detail, right?
Yeah.
And I want to focus only on a SaaS company.
Yeah.
Right? So leave out everything that does not apply to a SaaS company.
Yeah.
Okay. And now it's created all of this. Right? What are the applicable clauses in that regulation? So you could dump in. So if you have, let's say, 10 or 20, files that define the instructions around it, maybe a few litigations around it which are relevant, you can dump everything into spaces. Okay.
And you can even ask it to create a to-do list or a checklist, which would be able to check.
Exactly. Right. So I did that too, right, to just to show that up. Right.
It's beautiful.
Okay. And then it's given me the exact clauses that are relevant. Right. So I don't have to run through all the pages. I can quickly read them here. Okay. Once that's done, right, you can then, like Sachin said, say, prepare the audit plan and everything. Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't mention, I'm not sure if you did, is that Spaces is private, right? Meaning it doesn't it doesn't train the model. Is that correct?
No.
So if it's pro enterprise, yes, it doesn't feed. Otherwise, it doesn't matter whether it is,
You wouldn't be very sure if it is pro enterprise, whatever. Don't worry about it. I posted a comment on the group today. You talk about privacy. You have to get out of the internet, make your system in a secluded space, away from any connections, and you have to sit away from your mobile phone. There should be nothing in that room except your system, which is not connected to the internet, and you might think about privacy. Otherwise, there is no concept.
Yeah, Sachin, I'm just stating that from a perspective of confidentiality, so client confidentiality.
So you
that
need
would be my
enterprise account, Marianne, for that.
So we would use
say that.
Enterprise Pro account.
Enterprise Pro, right? Enterprise
Yes.
Pro Space Desk.
They
Well,
do say that. They claim that. But I'll always take it with a bit of salt, because for these companies, the only thing that is driving their models is the data. So the more data they get, so all the suits which have been brought in New York or anywhere where people are claiming that it plagiarized the work they had to train their model, that was something which they did not have access to, and they still scrape from the web. This is something they do have access to, and we expect that they not to be learning from it. It's actually very, 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 I wouldn't agree to whatever they say. but I'd be very cautious with what data we put to it.
Okay.
Sachin, I
what
want
what
to,
the what they
sorry,
what they
Nathan, go
really
on.
say. Sorry.
Nathan, please go on.
Yeah, sorry. What they say, at least for the Enterprise Pro, is okay. They don't use your data for retention. This is for training their models. This is what they say, but they continue retain the data for some days. I think it's 7 days. They
For
retain
7
the
days,
data.
exactly 7 days. That's by they write it that we'll keep the data for 7 days.
So they keep the data. They don't. They say they don't train. But what they do with the data if they keep it
No,
for
so
7
that's for
days, but
audit
they don't
purposes.
train?
Nathan, so let me explain, right? So what happens, and because I'm in this space, right, and we do a lot of regulatory stuff, right, I can give you a perspective. If tomorrow, right, there is any kind of litigation that happens onto Perplexity, then they need that data to prove their innocence, which is why they would retain it for 7 days, right, and not for more than that. At the same time, right, if you are taking an Enterprise Pro license, their incentive of training on your data is extremely low, because if it leaks even once, right, even one organization is able to prove that their Enterprise Pro data was used for training, they lose every big ticket enterprise that is using their
That's
data.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. So there is a lot of incentive not to do it.
Yeah.
So would you say it's more like it's a competitor of Copilot?
No, Copilot is very different, right? Copilot
Is
is
it?
more into your, whole Microsoft Windows ecosystem, right? I would say Gemini is competitor to Copilot, not Perplexity.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
Perplexity
Yeah,
is a
because Gemini and
competitor to
Copilot, they
Google
access.
search.
Yeah.
Copilot is like, Microsoft has so many Copilots, like majority of the SaaS-based Copilot lives within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So it works with enterprise data that is already in the 365 logical boundary. So it is using that sort of security underneath. But I think I agree with Chandramouli. I think it's Copilot's more around Gemini in terms of enterprise usage, whereas Perplexity is kind of its own thing, in my opinion, because it does real-time search very well, and
Yeah.
it's gotten very good at answering questions. That's what they call it, like the answering engine. So it serves a very unique purpose when you're building things with it.
And also the main difference here is if you see Copilot or even Gemini, they interact with the apps of, for example, Copilot interact with Microsoft apps. Perplexity don't interact with any app, so at the end it's not the same. You will not use it the same way. If you want that Perplexity interact to with other tools, you need to use the for example, Make or N8N, and then use an MCP for Perplexity to communicate with other apps. It's not even this. You don't use it the same way, so it's not the you can't compare them.
Well, now it's become the smarter assistant on iOS devices because Siri's
Yeah.
late.
I think that's where their end game is. I think Perplexity is looking to compete against Google search
Yes.
and your assistants.
Yep.
Those are the two market areas which I believe they focus on. They don't care about anything else.
I don't think I've seen a company ship faster than they have in the past few years, because they're shipping fast. They're not just shipping features. Their business development is fast. Their growth, like the Motorola announcement, and then they're trying to get it as a default installed app on as many Android platforms they can get to.
And banks also.
And banks also. And then they're going to drop Comet, and they're basically capturing all that market share of search, which is great. It's great to build with, and it works very well consistently. So the other thing I've noticed is data structures. If you like my thing about forcing it to output in JSON, Perplexity works best in that. OpenAI, sometimes I'll get errors in my pipelines that use structured JSON data outputs, but which you can configure in the API in OpenAI. But Perplexity, you can just do it with system instructions.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I gotta jump. Hopefully this was useful.
I think we
and-
should all close. I think we are, way overboard. But I think if you were to summarize, Sash and Nathan, and I think Sachin's still here. But Perplexity is great for doing search,
Yeah.
right? Perplexity is great for doing market research or analysis of anything that is online, like the example, Sash, that you shared with us, right? Perplexity has excellent features like spaces and pages. Spaces is there in other AIs, but pages is something that's very unique to Perplexity. No other AI has that.
Correct.
Right. And if you're using Perplexity, right, you get not chat GPT, I shouldn't call it chat GPT, it's GPT. You get Claude, you get, the Sonar, which is Perplexity's own AI. You get DeepSeek, you get a multiple set of models. So that works as a advantage, right? Anything that you guys want to add, Sash, Nathan, Sachin?
I think you covered it. It's great. It's like they call it. It's an answering engine. It's really good to build with needs real-time data access, and it has. They're going to keep adding any model that comes out, which is great. So if you think about it from a cost-effective solution, if you're paying for a monthly subscription, Perplexity is actually great because you get access to a bunch of models through their app.
True.
Awesome, guys. We should
Nothing
do
to
this
add from my side. Just I want to thank you all for this session. It was really, really interesting.
Likewise. We should do this more, and I'll keep sharing more information as I get close to sort of releasing Lift. There is so much data I'm using in so many different interesting ways to build this product. I'll also show something I built in Replit if people are interested, maybe in a week or two.
Yeah, I think, Sash, in about a week and a half or so, we are planning a coding session. So why don't you then, jump in there to do show the Replit part? I think that would be very congruent.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. I was forced to use Replit because I used a Twitter module in Make, and I got an email April 10th, it's getting deprecated. And literally all my pipelines were going to break. And I'm scratching my head, what do I do? And I go with ChatGPT, or we have to find a solution. I can't break this through. 2 hours I built an app. So I'll share that story. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Again, thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks, Sash, Nathan, Sachin, for the amazing session today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.